It's time for the Viewing Your Mirror podcast. I'm Katie Harms, and along with Lisa Rubin, we help you check in and curate the best possible you and the best view in your mirror. We share tips, tricks, and strategies from our 35 plus years in our respective industries. We talk about your day from morning to night and everything in between. We share our uniqueness, relish in our shared experiences. Along the way, we share conversation with fabulous people who give us their own thought-provoking insights. So come along as we help you hone the best view in your mirror.
Oh, Lisa. You're singing into 2026, Katie?
Yeah, I'm thinking, okay, this is the first of the year. I have to come up with something new.
Like, new in what you want for 2026? Or
Lisa! Hey, Lisa!
Well, you don't want me singing, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, let's dance into the new year, 2026. Let's, power, positivity, and all. Here we are.
A lot of people are using the word joy. It's kind of the popular word right now, because I think everybody needs that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should just get on board with everybody else and say 2026 should be our word too, and not like overthink it.
It's our podcast word?
Yeah.
Or do you want it to be your personal word too?
Oh.
True to form, I can't remember what my word was last year.
But guess what? I can't either.
Oh my gosh. Well, what about goals? I know you have your Post-it note that goes in.
Katie, I looked at that yesterday before we were going to record, and we met all of my goals. All of my goals.
Well, because I don't have any.
I never told you what they were, but I wrote 3.
Okay.
And we did all of them.
I would put you on the spot and say what were they, but I won't.
Well, they're secret. They're secret, but I will tell you without telling you that we did a live event in 2025.
Yes.
When I made these goals, I never had that in my head. That came in February when we recorded with Julia Oko.
Yeah.
So it was just putting it out in the universe. And we had more than a couple sponsors this year. That was another goal. And the third goal was to have so many guests on that were not from Minnesota. I don't remember actually the number I put in my goal sheet, but we far exceeded that.
How fun. Okay, well, speaking of sponsors, and we want to thank all of our sponsors, and sponsors come and go because, right, they have business plans and all of that. Our consistent sponsor that we're going into 2026 with is expanding, so it's like having 4 sponsors. Rustica Bakery has 4 locations now, 4, all right? So, Bidei Makska, Edina, outside, you don't have to go inside the mall, Southdale, Edina Southdale Mall, you go right outside, park in front. Washington Square is open 7 to 3 daily, 100 Washington Avenue, downtown Minneapolis. Cool building, just such a great feel. If you're working down there, if you're down in that area, great place to stop. And Wayzata is open, 795 Lake Street in Wayzata. We cannot thank Rustica Bakery enough, and of course the whole Jester Concept company. They have been nothing but amazing to work with, and we're grateful. So rusticabakery.com for any more information. There will be more matchas in our future, and scones.
Yes, and scones, right. I always get hungry when you do that little tidbit.
I know, you wish. So listen, today we have 2 women who really are not need a lot of introduction to a great many people, but there are going to be some who probably are like, yeah, I know who they are, but never listened, wasn't in my time, didn't fit into my world, whatever. We have the incomparable Lori and Julia on, whose voices have kept Minnesotans company, entertained, informed, and occasionally blushing for decades. And now they're bringing that same bold magic to their podcast called Still Loud. And honestly, thank goodness, the world needs them. They might get a little more into the dirt than you and I would ever do, Lisa.
Yeah. And actually, Katie, I did my research, of course, and I listened to 2 or 3 of their podcasts before we're coming on with them today, and they had me hysterical.
Yeah, they are great. So they were on 107.1 for a long time, and I think, as we know, radio can be brutal, right? It's a schedule. So it's hard. Podcast gives you a lot more freedom, flexibility as you sit in your warm winter perch, and I'm soon to go to my warm winter perch, and we can do this from distances, and you can do radio that way too, but it's just a little bit different to control the narrative or control the time with the podcast. So it'll be fun to talk to them. Let's bring them on and welcome them to the podcast. So we did our intro, we talked about how incredible you guys are, but I think, especially with Lisa and her background, and usually a brawl will come up almost in close to every podcast we do somehow, like in crazy ways. But I want to go back to your beginning. Julia Cobbs, Lori Barghini, how did it all start for you? Give us a quick down and dirty about how you two got started. And was it ever discussed to be Julia and Lori, or was it always Lori and Julia?
Well, when we got the radio show, Lori and Julia flowed better. It just sounded better. That was a no-brainer. That was a 1-second decision. But Julia and I met at Carlson Companies.
And I was Julia Barghini, and she was Lori Bartlett.
Yes. And I was getting divorced. She was getting married in 6 months, but we met each other. Julia was hired to be a marketing manager. Carlson had like 1,200 franchisee travel agencies. I got sponsorship money. Julia was one of 3 managers to spend the money. But we met, and on the day we met, like it was instant girl crush. We even remember what we were each wearing. We liked each other. It was like sparks.
Our cubes were across from each other at Carlson Towers.
And we were just like, I was just like, oh my God, this is going to be so much fun getting money for her. And she liked what I was wearing. And I think I told her the first day, don't give up Barghini as your married name to become a Cobbs. So right away I was, giving her my opinion, but we just liked each other. And then we went on a trip like 3 months after we met at work, and we had, we were working in Simpatico, getting money, and we were in Breckenridge trying to get money from Summit County, and there was a firefighter convention. She found out what a terrible skier I was. We both found out what good flirts we were. I mean, that was it. We were off.
It's just a funny.
We were like this then, since then, 1991. Yeah.
Wow. So a lot of life changes. How did what is it? Your husband
is
my brother.
Is Julia's brother.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we worked together for 7 years at Carlson, and yes, and in the meantime, Julia got married, I got divorced, I had a quickie remarriage. Whoa, that is a story. But anyways, 7 years after we met, I accidentally asked, Casey to take me out dancing because I had helped get him some free things for a family trip to Orlando. And I had connections to get him Disney tickets and a free condo. And so he's like, can I pay you back? And I'm like, you can ask me out. And Julia, I'm at her house and she's like, no, she does not want me to date her brother.
So honestly, you guys, so this rhythm that feels instinctive, it really is. Like from moment one, it was some sort of spark.
Yes. Maybe we knew each other in another life. Who the heck knows? But it was just like instant, like how they say people fall in love with, somebody in a romantic way. I felt like Julia and I had that in a friendship way.
That's so
and I married her brother, like, we got married in a fever, 3.5 months, and That was Escandolo. And he had 2 children, which I never thought I would marry someone with kids. And then I had left about a year after I married Casey. I left Carlson Companies, went to Sun Country Airlines because I wanted to understand the airline business. And about a year later,
I came.
Yeah, we were looking for someone to do a company branded credit card, and Julia came and joined me at Sun Country. And that is how we ended up going on a girls' weekend, staying at the Treasure Island, bringing our friends, and wearing shampoo bottle caps in our top because our Midwest boobs got so little attention the night before we'd had it. And my friend Sherlyn was like, we're wearing these.
This is in Vegas.
In Vegas, which is a perfect place to come up with an invention.
And then she comes home, and I don't know, like 3 months later, she takes out of her pocket, we were out at a bar or something, and she goes, oh, Julia, look at, I have the nipple enhancers. And I'm like, what? Because we're very yin and yang at that time. We were really...
We still are.
Not as much. We've come like more like this, but like, what is wrong with you? You're so slutty. Kind of thing. Why do you have that in there? And then I go to Vegas with Lori and my little sister because I wasn't on the original one, and
she never took the bottle caps out of her top.
So funny. It was so funny. And then, started finding a name, found a partner that was an engineer.
No, Julia is selling herself short. She always wanted to patent something, get an invention. That had been a long time thing of hers. And I said to her, I'm too lazy. I don't have the bandwidth to do all the business side of this. This was my crazy idea. I'll do the market research, go to First Avenue when we get our prototypes. I'll get it on Sex and the City, don't you worry, because they've been on the air like 2 years. And so I made all these promises to Julia about how famous I would make the nipples while she was doing all the hard work of meeting with a patent attorney, finding an engineer, getting them a rubber manufacturer and Shakopee. I mean, it was like almost probably 2 years of work.
Oh my God, Lisa, this is where we've gone wrong. We joke about the fact that we're going to be famous. They got a product famous.
Yes.
See, we've been going about this wrong the whole time.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's me, Katie. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
My head is going here, right?
I know, I'm watching you watch them, and I can just see the wheels spinning. You talk about yin and yang, and coming a little closer together as we're going on. But the thing that's so cool is, so you've got this lifetime of shifts and ins and outs and, audience shifts too, right? And now podcasting. So what part of your voice or personality feels most expanded with a podcast? Like, what things can you do there that you couldn't do on the radio?
Well, we can swear, and I don't have to use.
I wanted to. Don't say it.
No, but we can be as descriptive as our flowery language allows us without having to talk around something.
Yeah.
I think.
But I was never talking too much. I was always very blunt on the radio, to the point where people were shocked, because men get to be blunt, but heaven forbid if a woman is blunt.
I just kind of think for us, with the radio, it got to be...
Well, we did 22 years of drive.
Top schedule.
3 hours a day, 5 days a week. It was just a crank.
Yeah.
And now it's like, we're more excited. I think from our people who had listened to the radio pretty consistently in this, they're like, oh, it's the old Loj again. We were kind of bound. Well, we had a third voice, which we don't have. And we were kind of, which was great, and then it wasn't great after a while. But it's the freedom, the flexibility, and I think
having more time off was key.
It makes it be more fun. You don't feel like you have to do it, although I feel like I have to do the technology, I'm not going to lie.
I mean, somebody has to do it, right?
Lori trying to we're having a lesson. We're going to have a lesson, Lisa. She needs to learn some
I did broadcast from our radio show from Hawaii for 3 years. And so we will do the podcast just like, I do know how to do it, but I like coming over to Julia's house and doing the show.
This is exactly how we do it when we're in
This is what
town.
happens with us. So I go to Katie's house. She has everything set up, but sometimes she doesn't do a check.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes before we're ready to start our podcast, even though we have a guest ready to go. Oh, we got a little problem here. And every time then I start asking questions. Well, Katie, this. And then she gets mad at me. And she's like, gives me the look.
Yeah,
And then,
don't ask questions.
I start writing more stuff down because I get like not nervous, but like, because she hates when I have notes in front of me, like hates it.
Don't hate it.
Yeah, but now, the last 2 months of us recording, I just want everyone to know here that these are Katie's notes, not mine. That's a new piece of information, because when we first started the podcast, the very first podcast we did during COVID, we all had masks on, I brought, honest to God, I'm not exaggerating, 15 to 20 Post-it notes. And we went into the studio, and I put the Post-it notes in order in front of me. Katie was sitting at the very opposite end of the table, and then there was the producer person in between, right?
Bob Sansevier was helping produce it at the time.
Okay, he didn't know me, but he knew Katie. And Katie looks over and goes, what are you doing? I said, I have my notes. Oh no, we don't use notes. I said, what? I can't go without notes. She goes,
why is she bossing you around about your Post-it notes?
She bosses me around about that stuff. She goes, you need to put those all away. I said, I am not putting those away.
Good for you.
But, so she did. Oh, no. She came and started taking them before we recorded. And then by the time she went back to her chair, I put them all back again.
Oh, that's really funny. That's funny.
Well, my whole point in all of this, it might not have been the right method to go about it, but Lisa had I had some radio experience. She had never done anything online. I live a little bit more out there. Lisa's very introverted, all of those things, right? She's really come into her own on this, let me tell you. And so my whole thing was, you have been doing this at the time for 35 years. You know your stuff. If I say to you, tell me about this or that, it's going to come out and it's going to flow naturally. So if you listen to the first couple of podcasts, it's like, I am Lisa Rubin and I am, and it's like she's reading it off her notes.
That's funny.
Well, I mean, Julie and I started in 2002 on what was FM 107. This is before the internet. Perez and TMZ don't come along till 2005. We lived on paper because I'd go to Schindler's bookstore to get the Daily Mail and the New York Post and
Highland Villager,
everything, because there is no internet. And the fact that we got as famous as we got for the nipples, this is before the internet. It was one double truck in the New York Daily Fashion News, and 4 days later I was on the BBC and had met Kristen Davis. I mean, it exploded, and this is in 2000s, isn't it 2000? So there's no internet, but we're just going viral without knowing we're going viral, but we know the whole world is talking about our body perks. And this is before Sex in the City and 2 years before the radio. But we were feeling ourselves.
Yeah, I have to tell you, the nipples and the body perks got you noticed, but you two really did bring it. Like the refreshing interaction between you two from the very beginning is what did it.
And
Thank you. Yeah, I do think so. I mean,
and to your point, like Katie, I get telling Lisa, don't be nervous, don't read off the cards, that kind of thing. I get that too, but I think letting each other do whatever they feel comfortable with is nice. But it looks like we don't even have a printer right now, and if you even knew, Larry and I, how many reams of paper and how many trees we've supported. We never got out of that habit either, and I think for the radio,
if you are reading and talking, unless you're doing straight news reporting, top of the hour kind of thing, to me it sounds boring. I can tell you're reading to me because you're not able to engage your opinion or your wit if you're just straight up reading. So all these people who toggle back and forth to their gossip sites or whatever, I'm always like, read it first and then tell me how you feel about it. Give me your thoughts. And we've always done that, but we need to read something ahead of time, not while we're on the air or on a podcast. In that way, it's not any different. We're not treating a podcast any differently than how we were when we were just talking on the radio.
Well, and you're still going, and listen, I can tell you in the 6 years we've been doing this, I can think of some clinkers of podcasts where I was just not, like, and I think sometimes doing the technological part of it, there's, you're constantly looking at the time, and all of this, and I finally kind of had to go, well, whatever. I'm producing it, so I'll figure out how to get the best stuff out of it that I can get out of it. But I mean, like, I think about, we did a podcast with Allison Kaplan. I've never had such a bad interview in my entire life. I think
she's so wonderful.
She's so wonderful, and I've gotten to know her a little bit, and she's like, I don't remember. She would never admit to it, right? Anyway, but we have had the most amazing people that have just said yes to us and helped us along the way. Amelia Santinello and early on, and oh my God, just amazing people. Nobody said that.
If we're going to talk about this, I'm starting to laugh because if you want, and then we'll ask you guys, but if you want the one moment where I laughed so hard that I can say this, I wet my pants. Because Katie, I call Katie to school because Katie, goes off on tangents, right? And I never know which tangent she's going, so I have to just kind of follow it. And we had Dr. Terry Johnson on, the OB, and we were doing it in person because she had put this little podcast studio in one of her previous houses because Katie moves every 2 years. And so we had this podcast, really nice podcast studio, and Terry came over, and we're recording with her. And I don't remember what made her even say this, but we're having this very serious discussion about menopause and all of this, and something comes up about the dryer. I don't even remember what you said, but it was so off the beaten path, and I start laughing so hard that I tell her to stop. We have to stop recording because I wet my pants sitting down. I wet my pants sitting down, and then we stopped. Do you remember this, Katie?
I don't.
Oh my God. And then I'm like, okay, I just wet my pants. And we were laughing, and Harry started laughing. Everyone started laughing. That's one of my most favorite.
Honest to God, I don't remember. But I think if we don't, there's been times I've been way too serious, right? So I think the more fun is in the less serious stuff.
Yeah. Well, you guys seem like you have a great connection.
We do. We are definitely the yin and the yang. But how about you guys? Are there times where you just want to rip each other's heads off? Or
yeah. So Julia Moore wants to rip my head off. I'm impossible to insult. And
big time.
Really.
And she is too. Okay. Lisa, you and I have to talk sometime.
Yeah. And so, we very much are. But, we started out as instant friends, then became really good friends, and then we found we worked together well, and then we became family, and then we became famous together. And then, we actually, as we were getting ready, we didn't know we were going to do the radio, but we were pitching to angel investors we were going to have, Julia came up with the name Body Perks because it would be conducive to
line extension products besides the nipples.
Thinking of the world perks, and so Body Perks. So we were pitching down there hair care, keep the kitty pretty. This is early 2002. We're ahead of our time, but it's all men that we're pitching to. And of course, condescending, and we'd already been to Sturgis, the the summer before, because I talked Julia into, here was my pitch, okay? I said, Julia, if we go to Sturgis and camp, it won't cost very much money. There's tons of beautiful men, and we'll get a cross-section of every walk of life for valuable nipple market research. And it is true that Sturgis probably has the biggest, from hillbillies to appellate court judges, gay, straight, Jesus, coming from all over the world. And so we heard the same things over and over. So we were from women and the same things from men, and we were prepared for the dismissive way that the angel investors would treat us. But we had incredible ideas, and I know we still have our storyboard. Julia is very, very good at that, but then like 6 months later we got our radio show, and we just didn't have time to be knocking on people's door when, for heaven's sakes, we had to learn how to do a radio show. Moving on.
I know.
Chapter closed. We'll keep selling the nipples.
How fast does it go? Doesn't it feel like, you can close your eyes and sit back and think exactly what it felt like at the beginning, but then the fact that you're now, 30 years in?
At least 30 more than 90.
For our friendship. Yeah. Don't make us look this early in the morning.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But, I do think, and you guys probably know this, is that we worked together for like 6 hours a day for 22 years. And then when we were at different companies, we were working still
traveled together.
We traveled together. We always share a room together. We just, like she said, nothing can offend her, and I like to complain a lot.
And I love when she complains. Yes. It's one of my favorite things, because I talk her off all of these ledges.
But she's going to learn technology this year, damn it.
I'm going to have to on podcasts from Hawaii, but I've radioed from Hawaii. And so if I can do that, I can do this.
I think podcasting's almost easier. Although we've talked about it, we've stayed with the Zoom platform just because that's pretty darn easy.
Yeah.
There's some things that it doesn't have, like it doesn't have the tracker for time and all of that, but you worry about that a little less on a podcast than you do, right? The radio, you got to fit this in here, you got to fit this in here, all the timing of it.
Katie, when we're done, I'm going to send you, I don't know if you guys listen to my talk, and Ian and Marjorie.
Yeah.
She uses, I think it's Pathway, and it costs like $300 a year as a platform. At the end, they give you video cuts that you can use to promote it. We're looking at it. It's just I haven't done anything with it, but it's a different platform that's super easy to use.
It clips for you.
It clips. It does everything.
It does some AI, marketing work for you.
So I will send you.
Thank you.
I have it written down in the other room. I'll send you that because
she's always thinking of the business side.
We use because we work. This is a Hubbard broadcast, even though we're independent.
Right.
They're on this old Audacity platform, and then we bring
That's what I use.
through Teams. Apparently, this software is like $300 a year to buy, and it's way better. So I'll just let you know about it when we're done.
Well, good. For everyone who's listening that's contemplating podcasts, that's great information to have.
Yeah, I'm starting to zone out here and fall asleep over this conversation.
Okay, I got a question for you guys.
Yes.
So of all the years you've been together, is there one memory that you have about something that will stay with you forever, like whether it's like with a celebrity, whether it's something you did on the air, something that you'll never forget that you did together?
Yeah, 17 or 18, I think it was 18 years of covering the Screen Actor Guild Awards.
From the red carpet.
From the red carpet, and from how we even first got invited, but doing 18 years of this annual trip, going to Hollywood. I won't say we terrorized the town, but we left a wake of impressed people where they were like, we love those Minnesota girls. We had so much fun. That will just be, every year was just an incredible 4-day adventure of fun. And we were dressed by Monique Lullier, and we were on the red carpet at the end by the doors, and the publicists never want their people to talk to the radio people. Julia has a voice that carries, and you cannot believe the people she got to come and talk to us.
It was just
so fun.
Everybody. We just
who is the best? Who is the best person?
Or the biggest surprise. Or the biggest surprise.
Well, I mean, George Clooney, Julia got George Clooney to come over and talk to us.
I think I would have died right there on the spot.
Well, I did too, and then I said, because it used to be like, you'd say your name, hi, this is George Clooney, and I love Larry and Julia or something.
But we didn't.
So I said to him, I mean, I'm screaming, George.
And his publicist is pulling him away, okay?
Come say hi to Minnesota, come on.
George, I mean, she's shrieking, and the other radio people are kind of looking at Julia in shock and awe that, wow, look at this girl. She might wrangle George Clooney away from his publicist. He comes over, huge grin, and Julia's saying, and he looks at Julia and he goes, okay. And she goes, George, can you say your name? And he started talking, he goes, you say my name. And then another radio person grabbed him and asked him an actual question. But the fact that, like a magical, I don't know, Hamlet, who's the guy, the Pied Piper of the red carpet, Julia.
Yeah.
He could just get some people over, and if nothing else, she would just say, we just want a smile. So we got smiles from Brad Pitt and Jennifer Garner and
there's so many.
Jennifer Aniston, Angelina Jolie. We got away. Sophia Loren.
Oh, that one.
Just Dick Van Dyke. Earl Burnett. I mean, and then we'd sit in these green rooms after whoever won the awards, like this far from them, and
they'd come in.
And they'd come in and ask questions. It was a pinch me moment for so long, but like the build up to all of it, because you have to go like 5 hours before it starts. It's either raining or cold and your feet hurt, and just we get lost. And, I mean, we busted iPhones.
We busted into the party. We snuck in the party through curtains in the back of the Shrine Auditorium.
We get in so much trouble.
Oh my God!
It was just fun. We had no fear.
No fear. And then Bryan Cranston, I think, was our first person who. We met him on the red carpet, and he said, I'll buy you girls a drink later. Well, of course, the drinks are all free inside at the People. But he made a point of coming over to us at the bar and talking, wanting to know our story. And this is maybe the first year of Breaking Bad or something, or second year. But he was lovely and always remembers. People were nice. And Nicole and Keith Urban were wonderful to us. We were devastated when they broke up. They seemed real.
And it was so much fun before the iPhone.
Yes. Yeah.
It was just fun.
And then just seeing people in person.
Lionel Richie. All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Lisa, we've given you a ton.
That was the SAG Awards and our annual trek to Hollywood.
It was always an adventure, and people loved the show the day after, and we sometimes forget to turn on the recording device.
Oh yeah, 1 year she put me in charge. She said, I refuse to do this. I didn't record a thing.
Oh, so you got the memories. We have our memories.
That's me. That part would be me.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was, so anyway, I think that's a big one.
And then we loved our state fair shows.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So fun. I mean, just because you never know.
I saw you guys at the state fair many times, yeah.
Yeah. And you never know. You never know what you're going to get, who's going to be there, it's incredible. I love the realness, really. Just the enjoyment. You can't fake that.
No.
You truly cannot fake that. What about, for Lisa, let's ask this question. Favorite outfit that you wore?
Oh, yeah. I like that question, Katie. It's not in the notes, by the way. She came up on that.
We have the picture Sandy took us. Monique Lillier.
It was a Monique Lillier. I had so many because we were so lucky. Donna it worked for Monique, and she was a fan, so she would get us to be able to
10 years
to buy sample dresses from Monique. So there was a lilac one that I loved. I had this one that just had beads. It was pearls, mother of pearl, in a T down my back, and I was my breast stood up. I had a breast reduction. My boobs are still standing up.
Was that for you met Jared Leto? That he was so
I think
gentle
so.
with you? Oh my
And it
God.
was just this beautiful dress, and our dresses were so gorgeous.
But my favorite, and I could have bought it, and a Texas socialite bought it. Donna told me afterwards, it was a tea-length black, almost like a ballerina looking dress, but it tied with a bow at the top.
So cute.
And it had a belt, and the whole skirt, and it was midi length, were ostrich feathers, and my hair was cut super short. And Sharon Stone, I pretended to be Sharon Stone at the People magazine party and got one of the actors, one of the detectives from The Closer to let me walk around with his actor, and I pretended to be Sharon Stone. I had a riot, so it was because I had that amazing dress on.
And then who was our local designer?
Joy Noel.
Beautiful dress.
She designed us a gorgeous dress for us that year. We had a very magical night wearing those gowns. And then Patrick from Mona Williams, Patrick Richardson, he dressed us in vintage a couple of years. This was after Monique closed up shop at 15.
And then Grant Whitaker styled us from the Guthrie costumes.
Yes.
And this dress was just sequins over my breast, and nothing. It was amazing. We were, everybody helped us. Everybody wanted us to see.
Yeah, everyone fashion was really quite nice to us.
It was great.
Is that unique? I mean, I don't know if you attract that. I think in a way you attract that. You are people, and I love, Lori, what you said about you can't be insulted. Like you just, nothing, right? So then you put this out there that you just want everyone to do well, and you want to attract all of this good stuff. I mean, I think that's the key to all of it, is you're super attractors.
We are.
Yes.
And we wish we looked more attractive this morning, but it was a long, busy weekend.
Oh, I'm so tired.
Oh my God. I really had like a lot of Christmas cheer this weekend, if you know what I'm saying. I feel like I'm puffy.
Well, the good news is that we're not taking the video. We don't do the video. We haven't done that part yet.
Okay. Well, in that case, we're going to flash you.
I'll just, I can cut that whole part out if we want to. No, okay, if Still Loud, which is your podcast.
Yes.
Still Loud, had a manifesto, what would it be? The feeling you want people to have from when they hit play, where do you want them to be?
Did you just see one battle after another? Is that why you used the word manifesto?
No.
Okay. I always think of Patty Hearst and some revolutionary thing for a manifesto.
I know, right?
Yeah.
The Soviet Liberation Army.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like you wrote you did. Julia does all this stuff.
I guess for me, it's a place we're like your everyday girlfriends. Like you're talking to your best friend, like the stuff you talk to your friends and your family, and sharing our experiences, good and bad, making people laugh and have fun, and we're curious. I love, my mom listens now, she never could, but it has closed captioning in a podcast, so it's going to be a big thing. And it's fun hearing how delighted she is with us, and it's fun hearing how we like to make each other laugh. So if people can feel that energy, I don't know, I just hope that we're good companions.
People have missed us, and nobody gossips about gossip the way we do.
When we were off the air from the radio.
Yeah, there was just a hole in people's blessed little gossip, celebrity books, music, and TV, and funny. No one talks. There's no replacing our voice because we've had too many chapters together. We know each other too well. We had instant chemistry. I mean, we're just the OGs, and we just knew that we had to, and that was always the plan, but we wanted to come back, but we just were exhausted.
Yeah.
We're so tired.
Yeah, which totally makes sense. I think anybody can appreciate that 3 hours a day for that many years. It's like it rules your life, right?
And you're like a shark if you have a daily radio show, and that you're always swimming and you're always looking, because as soon as one show is over, you have the next day's show to be thinking about. And seriously, if you want to have a good radio show, you have to prep an hour to 2 hours for every hour you're on the air. It's just true. Because if you ever run out of things to say, boy, does that 10 seconds feel very long.
Yeah,
I mean, we learned that early on, and we are over prepared. And usually, if you're over prepared, you digress anyway. So it's a great way to spin off into unexpected conversations.
Do you guys have...
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I of course want to ask you questions, but I keep forgetting we're the interviewees.
I'm
not going to ask, but I do... Go ahead.
I already forgot what I was going to ask. Go ahead.
No, but I mean, don't you think that's kind of like what most people want to take away from a podcast is to learn something new, enjoy it, and...
Yeah, so they need to learn anything. I think they want to laugh and they want to be entertained.
Like when people ask me, because Katie and I have been doing it 6 years.
Yeah.
And our first year was really me talking more about all the needs that women will have during COVID, being on virtual, how to dress, what does that mean, blah, blah, blah. But then when Katie said to me, Lisa, I think we have to start having guests on. I'm like, what? Like, that was so foreign to me.
How much can we talk about ourselves? Good God.
Yeah. Okay, so we did end up starting, our second year with guests on. And I have to say that I have learned something from every single guest we have had on personally. And it's always a takeaway for me personally on each person. It doesn't matter what they do, what they're talking about, why we brought them on. But I think I'm a better version of myself because of this podcast.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
Katie and I, we're the yin to the yang. We're like sisters. We actually sometimes, and I'm sure this happens with you guys all the time, sometimes we don't even have to talk. We know exactly what we're going to do here, or say, or think, or she knows when I'm going to kill her, or ready to get mad at her, or she's ready to get mad at me. She gives me a look. And then we might scream and holler at each other for about 3 minutes, and then it's like it never happened.
We got that taken care of, and then we can move on.
We used to do on our radio show because, like you're doing live theater every day. Live theater in the moment. And sometimes Julia and I, one of us would be getting quite feisty, or maybe a bird was flying around in the studio and he played Christopher Hopkins, God bless the makeover guy, him singing the Battle Hymn of the Republic, the chorus. And he would just play it over our voices to calm us down, and it was sort of like
Johnny Lover,
our producer, and then it would always make us laugh because Christopher had this deep baritone, and it just like made you go, oh yes, that's right, we're patriotic Americans, stop fighting.
Yeah, you think of what you've gone through together too, right? Like we could do a whole show on menopause and how that's affected, and the ins and the outs, and the marriages and the divorces and the kids raising and the going away and all of those things, and what I think is so beautiful is, when I can't even call it trained in radio years ago, I was up in Brainerd and St. Cloud, and it was all.
Were you a DJ?
I did morning talk radio.
Oh, you did?
Really? I did morning talk radio.
I could see that. Yeah.
On a conservative. I produced. I actually started. I got my college degree, which I started college in 1977. I got my degree in 2008. So you want to talk about some circuitous routes. But I put together a program for my degree, producing a podcast, or producing this morning talk radio, and I was on air with it. And it was all conservative talk radio, which was very interesting. Very interesting. Dan the Oxnard is still going strong in St. Cloud. Anyway, but I remember the guy that they have that comes in and tells you how to do it is, no, you don't want to talk about yourself. You don't want to, it's not, it's like, no, that's just what people want to hear. They want the realness that you put out there. And so, there's things that we have chosen not to talk about for ourselves. We don't want to talk about politics and religion. We don't want to.
No.
But we want to hear from people how they got to where they are. So that's really what our guests are about. What brought you to where you are. And it's so fun to hear different careers that people have that you wouldn't even think about, right? But the thing that is consistent is how willing people are to share, and the people that say, I don't know how to do this, I can't do this, I can't talk, and then they get on and it's like, you're talking to your girlfriends. We're having a conversation for the most part.
Everybody likes to talk about themselves, Katie. That's one thing.
Yeah. In fact, it's a great way of getting out of having to talk at all by getting someone else to talk about themselves.
Exactly.
And then as they're in mid-thought, if you're at a reunion, hold that thought, I'm going to the bathroom, I'll be right back and we'll catch up. Oh God, it's so, and they don't even, I mean, that's just a tip for free.
I love you, ladies, so much. This has truly, truly been a privilege. We have a couple more things we need to do. I mean, honestly, I feel like the tip of the iceberg for you. Thank you for this.
Thank you for asking us. This is our first time we've been on a podcast.
What?
Yeah.
Stop it. Okay, well, that's something we haven't done yet. Has been on a podcast.
Oh, I see. I'm like,
We've never done a podcast together.
We are still figuring out how to pod ourselves, let alone have guests. And I haven't even done it from my house. Julia's waiting for that.
Someday you would find, I don't know. We're not that interesting, are we, Lisa? No. Lisa could talk about bras. She would, first of all, size you up.
Oh, no. Julia and I, that was one of our first topics on the radio. We found some bra lady in Anoka who was like, at the time, she was like a famous bra lady. Now, this is like 2003. I mean, I had a grandmother who worked at a foundation wear store. That's what it was called, in the west end of Duluth. All they sold were bras and girdles. And she would let me put the tape measure around her neck, and I couldn't go in the room when she'd measure, but I just was in awe of her job. And I was in 4th grade. A foundation wear store, just a tiny, and that's all they sold, bras, girdles, and slips.
I have never even thought about this. Lisa, I worked at Dayton's. That was my first job in high school.
I did not know that. I
worked at Dayton's Rosedale, but more than that, do you know what department?
The foundation wear department.
Yes, I was actually the youngest trained person ever to fit prosthetic women who had lost.
You're just talking about this right now.
I'm just talking about this. I never put this together. Like, it took Lori and Julia being here to be even come. Yes, that was my first job. My first job was waitressing at the Bubbling Kettle restaurant. But when I wanted to get into actual retail sales, which was stupid because I made way more money waitressing, but I felt like it was more cool to be selling. The only job they had open was in lingerie. I mean, I have stories like the fraternity guys that came in and needed to be fit for a bra to pass their fraternity test.
Oh, yeah.
Pledge or whatever they call it.
We've been doing a podcast for 6 years, and I talk about bras on every other podcast.
And you've never done
this.
I guess
do you see what I go through on a day-to-day basis?
She's withholding from you, Lisa. I sold shoes at Dayton's downtown St. Paul. Lori sold shoes
at the Miller Hill Mall and worked at Walgreens at the Miller Hill Mall when they had a restaurant there. And
I sold shoes for Fifth Street Bootery and at Harold and
Harold. I loved selling shoes. In fact, sometimes at Carlson when I would get kind of sick of the corporate, all the meetings. God, I hate meetings. And anyway, I would think I could always go sell shoes at Nordstrom. I'll make commission. I'll make about the same amount of money. And then I realized, I don't want to go backwards.
Because you got to work a schedule. That would really cut into your travel.
It really would.
And Lisa, do you know Sarah Rogers then?
Oh,
Yeah. She's a good friend.
Oh, my God.
Do you know Sonia Engerman?
Yeah, of course I do. So Sonia's mom and dad were very close with my parents.
Okay.
And Sonia was a professional figure skater.
Yes.
She skated.
Yes.
I tried skating, and I used to take lessons when Sonia started. but I couldn't get past that patch where you had to do the patch because that was so boring to me. I just couldn't do it. And I used to sit and watch Sonia for like 6 hours go around.
Feet must have been that big. Yeah, the littlest feet.
Yeah, and so I actually grew up with Sonia and her family. Like we grew up together. So when I see Sonia, it's like no time. But I think Sonia's my sister's age. I'm older than her. I don't remember.
She just left the radio station, you know that. She just retired.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
So Sonia used to live in my neighborhood, but they moved.
To Middletown. Yes, she did. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But I started in Dayton's FYI in 1983.
Then where did you go?
And I was with FYI until they sold it to Macy's.
Okay.
Oh, God, that was a sad day.
I can't do this anymore. I've developed, I knew when I was very young that I wanted to do executive presence. I didn't want to be a personal shopper. I didn't want that. I wanted to help women be the best version of themselves. I knew that at a very young age. So Jacqueline Murray, who wrote the book Dress for Success before that was even a thing,
right? She
became my mentor, and she kind of took me in, and I would talk about someone that like never has a plan. But she used to take me to all of the seminars and all the things that she did, and I was like her assistant. And what I know today, my backbone of what I do came from Jacqueline, and I became very, very close with her. And I was at Dayton's for 22 years.
Oh, wow.
But you have clients, you've had the same clients, some of them,
some of my clients started with me 42 years ago. Some of them are in their 80s now. So some have passed away. But all the women that started at FYI kind of after me, and the business grew. It was a very successful business for a long period of time. I know all of them, and I did a lot of the training for them.
Nice.
It really is a privilege. I think the Twin Cities, clearly for you guys has been just a launching pad for just incredible things that you still can do. So your third chapter, we had a event that we did, Designing Your Third Chapter, that we did last May. It was our first in-person event. It was really fun and very insightful. And you guys are, I don't know what chapter you want to call this, but it's so great to watch women come into their own and find
this is like our fifth chapter.
Yeah.
So we've been calling it rewirement. We have rewired. Yeah.
Love it.
Yes.
Rewired as opposed to retire.
Yeah, because retired, people are, they're like ageist about the word retired. So I don't like that word. I like rewired because it's like, well, what are you retiring from? It depends on your definition, so I don't know. I don't like to be painted and put in a box.
Nobody puts Lori or Julie in the corner. How old do you feel?
I feel
37.
Yeah, I want to say I feel like no, I don't want to do the 40s because of the whole perimenopausal thing. I feel I liked 50 or go 49, but 49. I discovered the the perimenopausal side fat that you get. Well,
my body feels older, but my mind.
My mind definitely
I think
feels.
about my mind. I feel young.
Yeah, I'm 36.
That's exactly right. Exactly. Exactly. I think in the 30s, and sometimes it's like, holy shit, I look at myself in the mirror, it's like, what happened?
Yeah, well, I know.
But then I have those moments of forgetting. Like, I used to not have to write anything down. Now, I'm like, you better write that down.
Yeah. I thought you were the queen of the Post-it notes. I thought you were
even like thoughts I have in the day.
Right. Oh, that's a good thought. I don't want to forget that. Let me write that
I don't want to forget that thought because I want to think about that for the next 3 hours if I write it down.
But that also happens in the middle of a conversation. Now, I called you for 3 things, she'll say, and then we'll get to 2, and then she's like, now what was the last one? Which clearly I do, as you saw the emails that went out today. Listen, in the interest of time, again, we could talk forever. I want to touch on your nonprofit because that's important to us. Save.org is who you have chosen. What a wonderful organization. Suicide Awareness, Voices of Education. Tell us what touches you.
Well, my family, I have 2 nephews who died by suicide. It's like the most taboo thing because I think someone said to me once, it's like you've murdered yourself. It's just such a lonely, effed up place to be when you are affected by suicide. And there's a reason in schools they bring counselors in right away because it's also suicide. It spreads like a virus because it puts the idea out there that this is an acceptable way to do something. And that happened with my one nephew, and 5 years later, almost to the day, the second nephew who really looked up to this boy did the same thing. And our family had no idea that there were resources out there, and it's just someone having 7 seconds of being out of their mind with a darkness in them. And so, SAVE has done, they've lobbied, and we have the one phone number now that you call when it's 988 instead of the long 800 number. And it's the second leading cause of death in a couple different age brackets in this country. And I understand why people don't like to say, suicide, because people, they don't know what to say, they want to walk away, they're uncomfortable, how did he or she do it? It's just easier just not to say it, but yet at the same time, we need to say it out loud. And so I just think, and Julia does too, our very last fundraising we did at the radio station for Project Down and Dirty, and I was very nervous I was like, I don't want to have to talk about this. But it was like so impactful, and we raised the most money we ever did, and people came out of the woodwork to share their stories, and it felt powerful.
That's so incredible. And I think I had a cousin who died by suicide. So there are so many people you talk to. I think almost everyone has had or knows someone. And so the fact that we're not talking about it is sad. What I like about this organization is even for someone who just wants to know how to talk to somebody who has gone through this, you don't have to think you have a family member, but we all to be aware, and especially with AI and what's going on with that now and how that's affecting kids, it's scary, scary stuff. So thank you.
So they do amazing work.
Yeah, save.org, very easy to remember. Yeah. Last contact, LoriandJulia.com.
Okay, so for the podcast, you can listen wherever you listen to podcasts. Yeah. If you have Spotify, if you have an Apple, YouTube, but
I can go right from our website, listen to the LoriandJulia.com.
And then it has places to listen, and then you just click follow. We do 2 podcasts a week that drop on Wednesdays and Fridays by noon, and we're there.
Yeah, and then on all the socials, we're Lori and spell out and Julia on Instagram, and we say we're going to do TikTok, but neither one of us want to do it. It feels like too much work, We're like, when do we get to hire somebody to do all this stuff,
Yeah. Thank you. We talk about, our podcast is theviewinyourmirror.com. You can find information on both of us in that way, and we really talk about the fact that your best you comes when you authentically show up and show that view of who you are in the mirror, and you do that both so beautifully, and we thank you so much
thank you
for being with us, and until next time.
Thank you so much. Nice meeting you guys. Congratulations to you and your success. It was really nice. Bye, Lisa.
Bye.
Bye, Katie. Thanks, guys.